Year 2300. I speak to you not from Earth, but from Mars, because Earth is no longer our home. Look at it now, once a blue planet of oceans and forests, now a half-burning ball, glowing red against the void, a wound in the galaxy. The fire never rests. It crawls across forests long turned to ash, across cities drowned in smoke, across oceans that boil and foam with acid, a world that groans and dies louder each passing day. Every sunrise on Earth is not dawn, but a fresh wave of flames, rising higher, spreading wider, devouring everything that still dares to exist. And the people who were left behind, they still die, every single day. Not in sudden catastrophe, but in slow, choking despair, lungs filled with smoke, bellies empty from famine, hearts broken from betrayal. We left them, billions. Men, women, children, faces pressed against the gates of departing ships, voices crying, arms raised, begging, and still they were abandoned. I remember the day of Exodus, the day the sky itself seemed to split in half, rockets rising like arrows, wars burning below, missiles carving scars across continents. The wealthy fought with gold, the powerful fought with armies, and the desperate fought with teeth and nails. Cities became cages, borders became slaughterhouses, and humanity itself became divided into two halves, the half that escaped and the half that was left to die. Half of us survived, half of us did not. But survival was not salvation. We thought Mars would mean life reborn, a clean start, a second chance. What we found instead was a cage of our own making. Mars is smaller, harsher, crueler. It does not welcome us, it tolerates us. No skies, no oceans, no forests. Only domes, walls, and machines. On Earth, people lived under endless blue heavens. On Mars, we live under glass. On Earth, oceans carried ships and storms and whales. On Mars, our water is measured in rations, recycled from waste, dripping slowly into tanks. On Earth, food grew in soil, kissed by sun and rain. On Mars, it grows under lamps, pale and tasteless, enough to keep us breathing, but never to remind us of joy. And wealth, gold, power? None of it mattered when we arrived here. You could not buy more air. You could not bribe more food. You could not hide in mansions that did not exist. Every coin, every empire, every nation was reduced to dust the moment we stepped onto this planet. We were stripped to the bone, equal at last, but equal not in dignity, equal in exhaustion. Equality here is not noble. It is survival, nothing more. Equality of cages, equality of hunger, equality of silence. We are alive, yes, but alive is not free. Every morning I wake to the same sound, the endless hum of machines that keep us breathing, the hiss of filters, the artificial flicker of a fake dawn projected against the dome ceiling. The children born here know no other world, no other rhythm. They do not know the sound of rain, or the taste of fresh fruit, or the sight of stars without glass between. They think forests are myths, oceans are fairy tales, birds are fantasies whispered by old men who can barely remember. And yet, in some way, I envy them, because they do not carry the memories that burn inside us, the memories of what Earth was, green, alive, limitless, full of wonders too many to name. A paradise. We destroyed it. We traded paradise for fire, for division, for greed. And in doing so, we did not only kill the land, the rivers, the skies, we killed compassion. On Earth, money decided who escaped, power decided who lived. We found that humanity was not equal. and humanity chose division over mercy. Do you know what it feels like to hear billions cry out as the ships rise into the sky, knowing you will never hear them again? I hear them still, in my bones, in the silence of summer. Read out. If these words reach across centuries, then let them be a mirror. Our story is not prophecy, it is possibility. Our regrets are not fantasies, they are warnings. This is my first tale, my first confession, my first regret. How Mars became home, and Earth became hell. You want to know why only half of us escaped? Why billions were left to die on Earth? Why some made it to Mars, and some never even saw the ships that carried us away? And the truth is uglier than anything you have heard in your history books. Because survival was not decided by compassion or fairness, but by greed, violence, and chance. When the Earth began collapsing under its own weight, nations built ships in secret, governments hoarded escape plans, billionaires bought entire fleets, and those who had money, power, or weapons carved out their seats in the Exodus. But there were never enough ships. There were never enough places. For every soul that boarded, 10 were turned away. Families were ripped apart at the gates, children thrown onto ships while parents were dragged back by soldiers. Some were shot for rushing forward. Others were trampled by crowds desperate to live another day. In the final hours, as the skies burned and the seas rose higher, survival was reduced to a lottery of cruelty, a rigged game where only the richest and the strongest could claim a ticket. The rest were told to pray. The rest were told to accept their fate. Do you understand what that means? It means humanity abandoned humanity. We proved that compassion was a mask, that civilization was a thin veil over animal desperation. We chose ourselves, and in doing so, we killed billions. I remember the day my ship launched. I remember the silence inside as we lifted, the muffled sobs, the screams outside echoing through the steel. People clung to the hull until the heat burned them off. And then, Earth fell away beneath us, a burning map of wars, fires, and drowned cities. We were not heroes. We were not pioneers. We were survivors at the expense of everyone else. And when we arrived here, on Mars, the truth was waiting for us. All the money, all the weapons, all the power that secured our escape, none of it mattered here. You could not bribe air from a machine. You could not steal water from a tank without killing everyone. You could not eat gold or diamonds. So wealth was stripped, nations dissolved. The powerful became as powerless as the poor, because Mars did not care who we had been on Earth. We were all reduced to the same condition, fragile creatures trapped under glass, dependent on machines for every breath, every sip, every bite. Do you know what that does to the human mind? When the hierarchy of the world vanishes in an instant, when the lords and the beggars suddenly stand side by side with nothing but ration slips in their hands, what grows is not peace, not gratitude, but confusion, fear, and anger. Some cursed the rich, who abandoned billions to die. Others cursed the poor for flooding the gates and tearing families apart. But no one could deny the truth. On Mars, all of us were equal in our cage. And that, perhaps, is the cruelest irony of all. For centuries, we fought wars, we divided nations, we built walls, we slaughtered each other over wealth and race and creed. And yet, the universe had always been teaching us the same lesson. None of it matters when survival is shared. The universe does not recognize kings or slaves. The vacuum outside the dome kills everyone the same way. The machines feeding us do not care about our flags or our gods. And in this forced equality, we began to see what we should have seen centuries earlier, that the only true religion, the only creed that could have saved Earth was humanity itself. But on Earth, we learned it too late. On Earth, we chose to leave billions behind, and their voices still burn in my ears. Their shadows still crawl in my dreams, reminding me that survival without compassion is not life. It is theft. And Mars, for all its harshness, is nothing more than a mirror of our guilt. And so here we remain, in the year 2300, alive but not free, breathing but not living, staring across the void at the burning ball we once called home. A planet we could have saved, a paradise we could have preserved. But instead we abandoned it to fire and ruin. And now, every day the flames rise higher. Every day the ones left behind perish by inches, choking on smoke, drowning in floods, starving in deserts that used to be fertile valleys, dying with their eyes lifted toward a sky that still carries our ships as scars of betrayal. Earth is no longer a planet. It is a funeral pyre, a monument to our arrogance, and the fire that devours it is not nature's wrath, but humanity's own hand clawing at its cradle until nothing was left but ash. When I stand under the dome at night and see Earth glowing like a wound in the sky, I feel the weight of every decision that brought us here, every war we fought instead of ending, every war we built instead of tearing down, every coin we counted instead of every life we could have saved. And I know then that the true destruction was not the burning of the forests, not the rising of the seas, not even the wars that shattered nations. The true destruction was the collapse of compassion, the moment we chose greed over mercy, the moment we allowed division to matter more than humanity. Mars stripped us of our money, of our armies, of our power, but it could not strip us of our guilt. Here we ate together, work together, survive together, equal not by choice but by necessity. And still, I wonder what Earth would look like today if we had learned this lesson when it could have saved us. Perhaps its skies would still be blue. Perhaps its oceans would still sing. Perhaps its forests would still breathe with life. But we did not, and so we are left only with regret. Regret that gnaws at us like hunger. Regret that will echo through every generation born under this glass. And yet, regret is also memory, and memory is also warning. The son of the White Palace is bound to sleep.
That is why I speak to you, across years, across centuries, across the silence of space, so that you might see what we failed to see, so that you might change before you burn what cannot be rebuilt. This was my first confession, my first tale, my first regret, how Mars became home and Earth became hell. But it is not the last. There are more regrets, deeper wounds, greater sins carved into our history, choices that shaped who survived, choices that determined who was abandoned, and choices that will reveal why our world became the graveyard it is now. So, you will hear them all.
And if you have the courage to listen, you may yet change the course of what is to come. Do not look away, do not forget, and do not think this is fantasy, for every regret I will tell you was born in the centuries you live in now. Tomorrow, I will tell you of another wound, of the price we paid when survival itself was sold to the highest bidder, when the right to live became an auction, when profit decided who reached the stars and who burned with the earth. That story begins in the markets, in the gates, in the hands of those who chose wealth above compassion. If you wish to know how humanity sold its soul, then return tomorrow. Follow this voice, hold on to this memory, and carry it with you. If you want to see your life tomorrow, follow this voice, hold on to this memory, and carry it with you.
Subscribe, follow, and keep the notifications alive. For this journey is not entertainment, it is the record of our downfall. And if you do not listen to every regret, if you do not let them carve into your heart, then history will repeat.
And your children will one day stand where I stand now, looking back at a paradise they lost. Do not let that be your fate. This is only the beginning.